Am I Enough? My Journey of Becoming, a personal story shared with respect for experiences different from my own. Welcome back to Living with Invisible Learning Challenges, the podcast where we explore the struggles, triumphs, and unique journeys of navigating life with learning differences. I'm your host, Jennifer Purcell. Um, Today, I want to talk about something deeply personal and something that's been on my mind for a while. It's about relating to someone that you admire, even if your lived experiences are profoundly different. And for me, that person is Michelle Obama. I've been reading her book and finished it by now called Becoming. And there's a part of it that hit me right in the gut. Her book is called Becoming. She talks about the feeling of asking herself, am I enough? This resonated so strongly with me because I asked myself that very same question when I was applying to colleges. But before we dive in, I want to acknowledge that while I reflect on parts of Michelle's Obama's story that resonate with me, I'm not comparing my experiences to hers or to the experiences of people of color. I share my story with deep respect and no intention of being insensitive or dismissive of racial struggles I have not lived. And I also want to acknowledge our Patreon listeners and my Etsy shop supporters. So, Patreon is a platform where I have audio of the podcast without ads, and I have transcripts of the audio, uh, transcripts of the audio or podcasts as well. And you can purchase the audio for $5, or you can purchase the audio and the transcripts for $10. And general membership is $1. And then Etsy shop called Woven Differently is where I have knitted items on there. I have circular scarves, which are called cowls, and I have headbands with ribbons on the end to secure them around your head, and I have bracelets of different sizes. And I can also knit custom items for you if you would like. Those cost more than the pre-made items because they're custom, obviously. But let me know what you would want, and I can try to make it. Even if I haven't done it before, I should be able to do it. Might take me a while though. And they won't be knitted perfectly because of my learning challenges, but they'll be very unique. And that's the whole point of them. Also, another disclaimer, I just am getting used to this time zone. I was in Missouri last week, so if I sound groggy or tired, that's why. I'm used to 2 hours ahead, and so I am still getting adjusted to this time zone of California. So bear with me, please. And yeah, we'll get through this together. I'm gonna have some more coffee. So I would like to talk about my college experience before my diagnosis. I was a student pouring everything I had into my studies, writing essays and trying to prove that all the hard work I was doing was enough. I wondered if I would be accepted anywhere. And I'm not just talking about the grades, the test scores. I was dealing with a lot. The chronic migraines, the homesickness that was already a shadow over me, and the undiagnosed learning challenges made everything feel 10-minute times harder. And when I say accepted anywhere, I mean like I didn't feel like I was fitting into college life yet. So looking back at my college experience, it was enough. I got into UC Berkeley, a dream school for me, but the journey didn't end there. In fact, it was just the beginning of what felt like an 8-year marathon. even though I did in 4 years. It was a constant fight with my own self-doubt, a battle against the belief that I could actually graduate. And that's where I can relate to Michelle Obama's story. Her journey to becoming, she had her own mountains to climb, her own questions of self-worth to answer as she navigated elite academic spaces as a Black woman. But here's the crucial part. I know our experiences are different. I am not a person of color. I have not faced the systemic racism and discrimination that she and so many others have. I've listened to my friends of color, and I know that racism is real, and it's a profound, often exhausting challenge. My invisible challenges are a part of my identity, but they are not tied to the color of my skin in a society that too often assigns worth based on race. Being an ally to people of color is something I strive for. And I hope that my story today is told in a way that honors their experiences while also sharing my own. So let's dig into my own story about the learning challenges I've come to understand. For a long time, I thought I only had NLD or nonverbal learning disorder. But I recently learned that I also have dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, and Irlen syndrome. Let's break down what each of these mean because I know I'm not alone in having these. Nonverbal learning disorder, or NLD for short, or NVLD, or developmental visual spatial disorder is also what it's been renamed to. It has a lot of names. This is a neurodevelopmental, that was a big word, neurodevelopmental disorder that affects nonverbal skills. While people with NLD often have strong verbal abilities, they may struggle with visual spatial organization, motor coordination, and social communication. For me, this meant having trouble with things like understanding body language and facial expressions or being clumsy and uncoordinated. Studies estimate that NLD affects approximately 3 to 4% of children and adolescents in North America. Dyslexia. This is a learning disorder that primarily affects reading. It involves difficulty with word recognition, decoding, and spelling. People with dyslexia may struggle to connect letters they see on a page with the sounds they make, making reading a slow and effortful process. It is the most prevalent learning disability affecting between 15 and 20% of the US population. Dysgraphia. This condition is a learning disability or challenge that affects a person's writing abilities. It can show up in different ways from difficulties with the physical act of writing, like forming letters and holding a pencil, to challenges with spelling and grammar, organizing thoughts on paper. While difficult to track due to misdiagnosis, estimates for dysgraphia prevalence range from 5% to 20% of school-aged children. Dyscalculia, this is a learning challenge that impacts a person's ability to understand and work with numbers and mathematical concepts. It can affect everything from basic counting and arithmetic to more complex problem solving. It's estimated to affect 3% and 6% of the population. Irlen syndrome. This is a condition that affects how the brain processes visual information. It can cause a variety of symptoms, including light sensitivity, reading difficulties, headaches, and eye strain. People with Irlen syndrome may see the text on a page as blurry, shaky, or even moving. Research suggests that around 50% of people with reading and learning problems may have Irlen syndrome. So with all this going on, college was a massive undertaking. There was so many moments where I felt like giving up, where the weight of these invisible challenges, along with my other health issues, chronic migraines, was just too much. I remember a counselor telling me I had to do the summer bridge program specifically because I was homeschooled and they didn't think I could handle the academic rigor of UC Berkeley. But I went anyway. I proved them wrong. I kept fighting, reminding myself that I got in for a reason. I was enough, and I could graduate. For those of you who don't know what the summer bridge program is at UC Berkeley, I'll explain it shortly. It's basically from May to early August, I believe, if I remember correctly. You take two courses and you can take them for grade scoring, or you can take them for pass no pass. I did pass no pass because I didn't want my GPA to be affected before I actually, quote unquote, started going to UC Berkeley. But this program was at UC Berkeley, so technically I was going during the summer also. And basically, some people who get accepted into UC Berkeley are either required to do summer bridge program or they are recommended. I was required. And like I said, the counselor said was when I asked her why was I required to do it, she said, "Oh, it was probably because you were homeschooled and they think you can't handle the level of UC Berkeley." And I'm like, I didn't say this, but I was thinking, fuck them. I am going to be able to handle this and I am enough and I can definitely prove them wrong and graduate in 4 years. I didn't even know I had any neurodivergent diagnoses then. I learned that when I was 19 and I was already done with 2 years of college. And yeah, I had barely passed my classes up until then. It was a miracle that I passed, actually, I think, without any accommodations. Um, so I did graduate, but I did not do it alone. My village was everything. My mom, who would proofread my essays until they flowed perfectly and sounded good. My dad would cook dinner for her when she was exhausted from helping me. My brother, who was my rock at the very beginning, helped me write the application essays for the UC colleges and served as my sounding board. He also helped me with some of my college classes, like calculus, or pre-calculus. My dog Truffles, who was a companion for the last year and a half of college, helped to ease the homesickness and simply being there. My family and Truffles saved my life countless times. They were there to help me through my struggles with suicide and to stop bulimia from controlling my life. I am so grateful for the village of help I had in college and continue to have in my adult life. So, what's the takeaway here? It's that we all have our own struggles, our own mountains to climb. My struggles may be different from Michelle Obama's in some profound ways, especially when it comes to race. But the feeling of self-doubt, the question, am I enough? That's a universal human experience. I want to end this episode with a quote from Michelle Obama's book, Becoming. She writes, "For me, becoming isn't about arriving at a certain destination or achieving a certain goal. I think it's about the journey and the process of constantly evolving and growing." Close quote. For me, that's exactly what my journey has been. It's been about evolving and learning to accept my challenges and about realizing that my worth isn't tied to a straight A report card or a perfect life. My worth is in the journey itself, in the becoming. In this episode, I share my journey of becoming, a concept I relate to Michelle Obama's story in her book called Becoming. Sorry, in her book Becoming. Like her, I questioned my own worth, wondering if I was enough to get into and succeed at a top university. I discussed the immense challenges of attending UC Berkeley with a combination of undiagnosed and recently diagnosed learning differences, including nonverbal learning disorder, NLD, dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, and Irlen syndrome, along with chronic migraines and PTSD. This journey was an 8-year marathon of self doubt and perseverance, a struggle that a counselor at the time amplified by saying I couldn't handle the school's academic rigor due to being homeschooled. And when I say 8-year marathon, I mean it felt like an 8 years, but I did it in 4 years. It just felt longer. Um, I share my village of support. My family and my dog, Truffles, was instrumental in my success. They helped me with everything from proofreading essays and cooking meals to saving me from suicide and an eating disorder. While I acknowledge the profound differences in our experiences, particularly as I am not a person of color and I have not faced the systemic racism that Michelle Obama has, I connect with the universal feeling of asking, "Am I enough?" Ultimately, the episode is a testament to the idea that becoming is not about a destination, but about the journey of constant growth, providing to myself and others that I was more than capable. Hopefully, what you can do with these episodes on this podcast, Living with Invisible Learning Challenge, I would like to challenge you to journal about the episodes and just see what you learn from them. Or you can share about the episodes with your friends and family and see what they can learn from them. And as always, I will post the links to the articles that I use in the description of the podcast. And please let me know if you know somebody who you think would want to be interviewed on this podcast, or if you yourself would want to be interviewed. Please email me. I have my email on my website, and I also have it pretty much pretty accessible on Facebook and Instagram through messaging as well. So you can get in contact with me in those ways.